The rolling hills of southern England are home to some of the most famous prehistoric monuments in the world. From the ancient burial chambers of Silbury Hill to the mysterious Avebury Stone Circle, this region is one of the most archaeologically rich areas in Europe. And at the heart of it all stands Stonehenge. For millennia, people have come from all over the world to marvel at the incredible stone circle. But what really is Stonehenge? How did these massive stones get there? And is there a secret connection between it and other local megalithic sites? Join us today as we explore the secrets of Stonehenge. Stonehenge, England's most famous stone circle. Of all the archaeological sites in England, Stonehenge may be the most recognizable. The iconic structure located near the town of Salisbury has captured the imaginations of locals and tourists alike for centuries. Built around 3000 BC, Stonehenge is an incredible feat of engineering. The monument comprises a series of large standing stones that are arranged in a circular formation, much like a clock face. In total, there are 30 stones weighing up to 50 tons each set in a horseshoe shape within a larger circular ditch and bank. Archaeologists believe the site was used for burials and religious ceremonies. The construction of Stonehenge would have been a monumental task, but no one knows exactly how it was built. There are many theories about how the builders moved the massive stones and erected them, but none can say with certainty. This has led to much speculation and controversy over the years. Some believe that the stones were brought here on rafts across the sea, while others claim they were simply dragged into place by a team of oxen. However, recent discoveries have shed new light on this long-standing mystery. Thanks to modern technology, archaeologists have been able to analyze the stones themselves and determine where they came from. They discovered that the majority of the stones were quarried from a nearby hill called Morrow, suggesting they were moved here intentionally rather than just dumped in a pile. Furthermore, analysis of the soil around Stonehenge revealed traces of Bronze Age farming communities, meaning the builders of Stonehenge weren't completely primitive as previously thought. All of this suggests that the construction of Stonehenge was a carefully planned event, but exactly how they managed to move such large stones without any advanced technology remains unknown. A message from beyond? It's no secret that Stonehenge is one of the most popular tourist destinations in England. Every year, thousands of people visit the site to learn about its history and see the iconic stones for themselves. But there is something else that draws so many people to Stonehenge. For centuries, it has been associated with a sense of mystery and magic. People have come from all over the world to witness the summer solstice at Stonehenge, when the sun rises directly through the center of the stone circle. It's believed that this alignment with the stars and planets gives Stonehenge special powers, and many people travel there hoping to experience this for themselves. But it's not just the summer solstice that makes Stonehenge so popular. The site is also steeped in folklore and legend. According to one story, Stonehenge was built by Merlin the Wizard and used as a place of power by the Druids. Another legend claims that the stones were brought to Britain by giants who lived in Ireland. Whether or not these stories are true, they add to the sense of mystery surrounding Stonehenge and make it even more appealing to those who visit. It's this combination of history, astronomy, and folklore that makes Stonehenge so unique and unforgettable. For centuries, people have been drawn to the site by its beauty and its secrets, and as we continue to learn more about Stonehenge, we can expect our fascination with it to only grow. The builders of Stonehenge. We know Stonehenge is an ancient monument that was built over a period of 1,500 years. But who built it and why? These questions have puzzled historians for centuries. While there is no definitive answer, the prevailing theory is that Stonehenge was constructed by a group of prehistoric farmers. These people were part of the Neolithic Revolution, a period of time when humans began to cultivate crops and raise livestock. The shift to agriculture allowed people to settle in one place and form communities, which eventually led to the development of cities and civilization. These early farmers were likely familiar with astronomy and used their knowledge to align Stonehenge with the solstices and equinoxes. They may have also used the site for burial rituals, as human remains have been found nearby. Unfortunately, not much is known about the builders of Stonehenge. They left behind no written records, and their way of life was brutally suppressed by later cultures. However, thanks to modern technology, archaeologists have been able to piece together a fairly accurate picture of their society. By studying the tools they used, the crops they grew, and the animals they herded, experts have learned that these people were skilled farmers and herders who lived in small villages. They were also likely polytheistic, meaning they believed in multiple gods. Their religion was likely animistic, meaning they believed that nature was sacred and that spirits could be found in trees, rivers, and animals. While we may never know everything about the builders of Stonehenge, ongoing excavations at the site and surrounding areas are sure to reveal more information in the years to come. As new discoveries are made, we can gain a better understanding of this mysterious culture and the incredible monument they left behind. Avebury Stone Circle, England. Avebury Stone Circle is one of the most impressive prehistoric sites in the world. Located in Wiltshire, England, this monument consists of a circular arrangement of huge standing stones that dates back to around 2600 BC. The stones are up to 10 feet high and weigh several tons, and they are set in 2 concentric rings with a third smaller ring nearby. What makes Avebury so remarkable is its sheer size. It covers an area of over 100 acres, making it the largest stone circle in the world. The site is so vast that it is difficult to comprehend its scale without actually visiting it. In addition to the stone circle, Avebury contains several other structures such as the Avenue, a processional way lined with smaller stones, and the West Kennet Long Barrow, an ancient burial mound. The monument is also surrounded by a deep ditch and bank, which was likely used for ceremonial purposes. Avebury is older than Stonehenge, and its purpose is still unknown. However, archaeologists believe it was used for religious rituals and as a gathering place for local communities. The site is also thought to have been used as an astronomical observatory, as the stones are aligned with the winter solstice. Avebury is a truly remarkable place and a testament to the ingenuity of our ancestors. It is also a reminder of the deep mysteries that still surround the Neolithic period. Silbury Hill. Silbury Hill is a large artificial mound located near the town of Marlborough in Wiltshire, England. It dates back to around 2400 BC, making it the oldest and largest prehistoric mound in Europe. Silbury Hill is a prominent landmark in the landscape, rising 130 feet above the surrounding ground and covering an area of over 40 acres. The construction of the mound would have been a massive undertaking, requiring the labor of thousands of people, but the purpose of Silbury Hill remains a mystery. Some archaeologists believe it was used as a burial mound, while others think it may have had religious or ceremonial significance. The mound has been studied for centuries, but its origins and purpose continue to elude experts. One theory is that Silbury Hill was built as a burial mound for a powerful chieftain or a series of rulers. Proponents of this theory point to the mound's size and location as evidence. If true, it would have been visible for miles around, serving as a warning to potential invaders. Another theory is that Silbury Hill was used for religious or ceremonial purposes. This is supported by the fact that the mound is aligned with the winter solstice sunrise. It's possible that the hill was used as a place of worship or a meeting place for local communities. The truth is that we may never know for sure what the purpose of Silbury Hill was. Without written records from the time period, we can only speculate. However, the mystery only adds to the intrigue of this remarkable monument, the connection between Stonehenge and Avebury. Stonehenge and Avebury are two of the most famous prehistoric sites in England, but they are not the only ones. The two are connected by a series of ancient roads and paths that were used by the people who built them. These roads, which date back to the Neolithic period, would have been used for ceremonial purposes, as well as for transporting goods and people. Recent excavations have revealed a network of buried tracks and trails that connect Stonehenge to Avebury. These findings suggest that the two sites were part of a much larger ceremonial landscape. The roads would have been used for processions and other ritual activities, and they may have also served as a pilgrimage route. In addition to the roads, there are other connections between Stonehenge and Avebury. For example, both sites are aligned with the solstices and equinoxes. This suggests that they were used together as a kind of astronomical clock. The two stone circles may have been used for different purposes, but they would have been part of a shared cultural landscape. As we continue to learn more about Stonehenge, it is clear that it was an important place for the people who built it. The site was used for burials, religious ceremonies, and astronomical observations. However, the purpose of Stonehenge remains a mystery. While we may never know everything about this incredible monument, ongoing excavations are sure to reveal more information in the years to come. So, what do you think? Do you know of any other interesting facts about Stonehenge? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe for more videos like this one. Thanks for watching. Deep in the Egyptian desert lies one of the most famous structures in the world, yet no one knows for sure how old it is. Is it thousands of years old, or could it be millions? And if so, why have we never found any evidence of an ancient civilization that may have existed before our own? This is the mystery of the Sphinx. What is this structure made of? No one really knows. The Sphinx's body looks like a lion's and its head is shaped like a human's. Some think it's just a statue, but others believe it's an actual creature from Egyptian myth. The Egyptians believed it was a real-life lion with wings and the power to control the wind. But could there be more to these legends? Was the Sphinx actually a living, breathing animal, a kind of Egyptian big cat? The Sphinx's body has been here since the beginning of time. It was first built by ancient humans between 2500 BC and 2050 BC during the reign of the 4th dynasty. It was carved into the bedrock of the Giza Plateau, the same place where the Great Pyramid of Giza was built. But who carved it, and what secrets does it guard? Some say it was Khafre, the second pharaoh of the 4th dynasty, while others claim it was his son, the great builder Khufu. But all evidence points to the fact that both men are dead wrong, because new research has revealed that the oldest possible date for the Sphinx would be between 7000 BC and 5000 BC. Weathering suggests it may be even older than history itself, but weathering can only tell us so much. The discovery was made after scientists scanned the Sphinx using non-invasive technologies such as ground-penetrating radar and magnetometry. They then compared their findings with other artifacts in the area. They were able to use scientific methods to estimate the age of the surrounding rocks. This is because the rock around the Sphinx erodes at a rate of about 1 inch every 1,000 years. By measuring how far the rock had worn down, they were able to determine how old it was. When asked for comment, Egyptian Minister of Antiquities Khalid el-Anani said, "We don't know anything about it. We are waiting for the results of the research to be published." Scientists haven't publicly shared their data yet, but rumors suggest they have made some shocking discoveries. There's a good chance that the true origins of the Sphinx will never be uncovered. But there are many interesting theories out there that people have come up with over the years. Some people say the Sphinx wasn't built by humans at all, but rather left behind by an ancient race of giants. These giants lived in Atlantis before it sank beneath the waves. Others say the Sphinx was actually a portal to another dimension. This is based on the idea that pyramids and other megalithic structures were once used as gateways to other worlds. It's unclear why anyone would need to travel through a gateway hidden inside the body of a giant cat, though some say it was necessary to escape from dangerous animals. Maybe there were portals all over the Giza Plateau, allowing people to quickly get away from dangerous creatures. But the idea that the Sphinx was a portal is purely speculative. There is no evidence to support it. Others say the Sphinx is proof that humans aren't alone in the universe. Some people think aliens built it and used it as a lookout post when they visited Earth. Many UFO researchers believe that the Sphinx was originally shaped like a humanoid alien. Over time, it began to look more like a lion as the Egyptians interacted with it and tried to make sense of its appearance. Could they have been right? Were the Egyptians actually seeing spaceships in the sky and trying to make sense of them in the best way they knew how? Did they create the Sphinx as an offering to whatever gods they believed were up there watching them? Or did the Egyptians invent the Sphinx as a warning to future generations, a way of showing that there were things in the world that we simply didn't understand? Maybe. For centuries, Egyptologists have ignored these possibilities. Instead, they've focused on proving that the Sphinx was created by humans, and now they seem to be winning the argument. A new report from Live Science claims that most experts agree the Sphinx was carved by humans. According to a new report, the human race didn't start out in Egypt. Rather, we evolved from a race of giants who came from another planet. These giants are known as the Nephilim, and they were born when angels mated with human women. In ancient texts, the Nephilim are described as being enormous and powerful. They were the offspring of fallen angels, but they eventually became corrupt and evil. God then wiped them out, killing everyone except for Noah and his family. But many people think the story of the Nephilim isn't just a religious fable. Instead, it's based on actual events that took place in the distant past. Perhaps the Nephilim were real, and maybe they still exist today, hiding in plain sight. If this is true, then perhaps they built the Sphinx as a monument to their former glory. Maybe they used it as a place of worship, or maybe they built it as a tomb for their greatest leaders. We don't know much about the Nephilim, but we do know that they were incredibly smart. They were also very creative and loved making art. The Sphinx is a perfect example of this. It's not just a big block of stone. It's a work of art. The Egyptians were masters at carving stone, but no one knows how the Sphinx got there in the first place. It's too big to have been carried on boats. It's too heavy to have been dragged across the desert, and there's no evidence that the Egyptians had any technology that could have helped them move it. So how did they get it there? Maybe the answer is simpler than we think. Maybe it wasn't built by humans at all, but rather left behind by a lost civilization that predates even the Egyptians. The Sphinx isn't the only ancient structure in Egypt that scientists can't explain. There are others, like it, scattered all over the country, each more mysterious than the last. Some people say these structures are the remains of cities that were destroyed in ancient times. Others say they're the remnants of extraterrestrial spacecraft that crashed into Earth. But most experts dismiss these ideas as nonsense. They insist that there's nothing in Egypt that can't be explained by science. However, there are some structures in Egypt that even scientists can't explain. One of the most baffling is the Great Pyramid of Giza. It's huge, weighing over 6 million tons and standing 481 feet tall. But what was it used for? Most Egyptologists agree that it was a tomb for the pharaoh Khufu, but no one knows for sure. Others say it was a place of worship, or maybe even a prison for dangerous criminals. The truth is, we don't know what it was used for because we weren't there when it was built. But that hasn't stopped people from coming up with all kinds of theories over the years. Some people say the pyramid was actually a giant battery. This is based on the fact that the stones inside it contain copper and gold, which are excellent conductors of electricity. Others say the pyramid was once a giant laser used to communicate with other civilizations across the galaxy. Whatever the truth is, it seems like there's more to the pyramids and other ancient structures in Egypt than meets the eye. We may never know everything about them, but that doesn't stop us from trying. For thousands of years, the pyramids have stood in the Egyptian desert, silently guarding their secrets. But now it seems like we're finally getting closer to uncovering the truth. With new technology and new ways of thinking, we may finally learn what these ancient structures really are and what they really mean for humanity. Hi, it's me. No, you're not seeing double. Today, we are taking a journey to Puma Punku in Bolivia. You may be asking yourself, what is Puma Punku? It's an archaeological site that features some of the most impressive stonework in the world. In fact, scientists are baffled at the advanced techniques used in cutting and placing these stones. They say, even today, we do not have the technology to replicate these techniques. The stones appear to be cut with laser-like precision. So, who did it and how? Was ancient man helped by other hands? Join us as we explore this fascinating topic. And don't forget to subscribe for more videos about ancient discoveries. Let's get started. The Bolivian plateau where Puma Punku is located had been inhabited since 2500 BC. The area was occupied by various indigenous cultures until the Inca Empire reached the region around the 15th century AD. However, there is little evidence of Inca presence at Puma Punku itself. This has led researchers to believe that the site might have been constructed before the Inca civilization, or possibly by a culture unknown to modern history. This would make Puma Punku one of the oldest sites of its kind in South America. We know that the Inca were master builders and they are famous for their stunning architecture such as Machu Picchu, but they didn't use mortar and instead stacked the stones without any binding material. And because of this, it's easy to dismantle their structures. Puma Punku, however, baffled even the Inca who found it. When they came across Puma Punku, they decided to leave it alone because they could not understand how the stones were cut and fitted together. Instead, they built a small temple nearby and worshipped it as a sacred site. Now, let's talk about what makes Puma Punku so special. It is the precision with which the stones are cut and fitted together. The megaliths of Puma Punku are incredible. There are several thousand of them, and each rock monolith weighs between 6 and 25 tons. It is estimated that it would take around 800 men a full day just to move one of these giant rocks. And yet they were moved with such accuracy that the gaps between the stones are so small that you can't even fit a blade of grass in them. Even the most modern tools available today cannot reproduce the techniques used to cut these stones. One of the most striking aspects of Puma Punku is the way that the stones appear to interlock like a three-dimensional jigsaw puzzle. Some stones feature channels that fit perfectly with those of adjacent blocks, creating an interlocking pattern that is both aesthetically pleasing and structurally sound. These channels are so precise that they are virtually indistinguishable from each other, and the tolerances involved are far beyond the capabilities of even the most advanced CNC machines. Another amazing aspect of Puma Punku is the so-called gateway to the stars. It's a series of 13 aligned stones that form a corridor that points towards the rising sun on the winter solstice. This suggests that the builders of Puma Punku had a sophisticated understanding of astronomy, and that they used it to inform their construction projects. In fact, many researchers believe that the builders of Puma Punku had knowledge of constellations far beyond their own time. How else could they have created such an accurate astronomical calendar? And then there are the T-shaped doorways. These are large stones that have been shaped into T-shaped door frames with astonishing accuracy. The builders of Puma Punku must have used some sort of mechanical device in order to achieve this level of precision. The doorways are so well crafted that they look almost alien-like, and they have left scientists scratching their heads for centuries. How could ancient builders have created such complex geometries without the use of advanced technology? Let's also not forget the sheer scale of Puma Punku. It covers an area of approximately 400 acres and contains hundreds of thousands of metric tons of stone. The site is so vast that it has not yet been fully explored, and archaeologists are still uncovering new secrets every year. The main structure of Puma Punku resembles a gigantic puma, hence the name of the site. This makes it all the more mysterious as it seems highly unlikely that the Inca would have chosen such an obvious animal as their namesake. Could it be that Puma Punku was built by an even older and more advanced civilization that had its own beliefs and customs? There are also some strange structures at Puma Punku that defy explanation. For example, there is a large mound that is covered in intricate patterns that resemble a giant tapestry. The mound is over 200 feet long and 50 feet high, and it is decorated with over 400 figures carved into its surface. The figures appear to depict various animals, plants, and human faces, and they are so detailed that they must have taken years to carve. But who created the mound, and what was its purpose? Another puzzling feature of Puma Punku is the lack of any written records. The site was likely used for religious purposes, but we don't know what these religions were, or what the people who built Pumapunku believed in. This is because no written records have survived the passage of time. We don't even know for sure if the people who built Pumapunku had a written language. All we have are the ruins themselves, which are shrouded in mystery. Some researchers believe that Pumapunku was constructed by an advanced civilization that predated the Inca by several thousand years. This civilization is said to have possessed knowledge of advanced technologies such as lasers and other tools that are not available to us today. This would explain how the builders of Pumapunku were able to cut and shape the megaliths with such precision. In fact, the only known natural phenomenon powerful enough to cut through stone like the stones at Pumapunku is a laser. And yes, scientists admit that the energy required to cut and shape these stones is immense and would require a lot of power. But recent advances in science have shown us that with enough scientific development, it is possible to cut through stone with a laser. In fact, experiments have shown that with a 100,000 millibody carbon dioxide laser, it is possible to cut through stone at a rate of up to 1 inch per second. And yes, this is very slow, but it's still much faster than the traditional methods used to cut stone. But, unfortunately, we do not know for sure if this method was used to cut the stones at Pumapunku. However, there is some evidence to suggest that Pumapunku may have been built by a forgotten civilization with advanced knowledge of engineering and technology. The site contains structures and artifacts that cannot be explained by conventional archaeological methods and challenge our understanding of ancient cultures. One theory suggests that the builders of Pumapunku may have come from a highly advanced civilization that existed before the Inca or even before the Egyptians. This civilization is said to have possessed knowledge of mathematics, astronomy, and engineering, far beyond what we would expect for their time period. The builders of Pumapunku may have come from a highly advanced civilization that existed before the Inca or even before the Egyptians. This civilization is said to have possessed knowledge of mathematics, astronomy, and engineering, far beyond what we would expect for their time period. They may have developed these skills independently, or they may have learned them from a more advanced extraterrestrial civilization. If this is true, then the builders of Pumapunku would have been far more advanced than we give them credit for, and they would have possessed knowledge that we are only beginning to understand. For example, the builders of Pumapunku knew how to align their structures with the cardinal directions with incredible accuracy. They also understood the principles of hydraulic engineering and built canals and aqueducts to bring water to their crops. In addition, they developed a sophisticated system of roads that connected different parts of their empire. The builders of Pumapunku may have also possessed knowledge of alternative energy sources that we are only beginning to explore today. Some researchers believe that they may have harnessed geothermal energy or other natural phenomena to power their machines and tools. This would have given them an advantage over other cultures of their time and would have allowed them to develop more advanced technologies. If you enjoyed this video, check out more videos about ancient discoveries. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a comment below with your thoughts about the advanced civilization that built Pumapunku. Did they receive help from aliens, or did they develop their advanced technology independently? We would love to hear your thoughts. Thanks for watching. See you next time. The Nazca lines are gigantic desert drawings only visible from the sky. They consist of lines, shapes, and figures etched into the arid earth of southern Peru. Some have suggested that they may have been created by extraterrestrials. Others say they were made by the ancient Inca. But new discoveries are shedding light on who really made them. The first aerial view of the Nazca lines was taken in 1927 by a pilot who spotted them while flying above the arid Peruvian desert. He landed nearby and immediately set about uncovering some of the line's secrets. Soon after, an archaeologist arrived to study the site and claimed that it was some 2,000 years old. Even so, he knew nothing about its creators. Who could have possibly made such huge markings on the ground, and what was their purpose? These days, there are plenty of theories as to the origins of the Nazca lines, but the truth is we still don't know exactly who was responsible for creating these geoglyphs. This lack of knowledge has led to all kinds of speculation over the years, including the suggestion that aliens might have been involved. There are thousands of these geoglyphs spread across the desert plateau. Some measure just a few feet across, while others are hundreds of yards long. The largest figure is a hummingbird measuring 630 feet from beak to tail. Other prominent designs include monkeys, lizards, dogs, spiders, flowers, geometric patterns, spirals, and straight lines that stretch for many miles across the desert. The strange thing about them is that most are too big to be made out with the naked eye from the ground. It's only when you're high above them in a plane or a helicopter that their true scale is revealed. Back in the day, this must have been quite a surprise for anyone passing overhead. And people did travel through the skies long before modern aircraft were invented. In fact, there is evidence that the Inca used to send couriers via llama back in the 15th century. These couriers would carry messages between the empire's provinces, but they wouldn't have traveled along the ground. Instead, they would have gone from mountain peak to mountain peak, essentially traveling through the clouds. This means that for the Inca, the Nazca lines would have remained hidden from view. But then again, the Inca were known to be skilled engineers, astronomers, and mathematicians. They were well versed in the stars and would have been aware of the solstices and equinoxes. So it's entirely possible that they may have utilized the skies for more than just travel. Maybe they would have looked up to see if certain stars aligned with particular Nazca figures or lines. Or perhaps the Nazca lines were part of a religious ceremony, and those who participated in them would have looked to the heavens to see if the gods were pleased with their offerings. There are a lot of Inca ruins near the Nazca lines, which suggest that the two are somehow connected. Unfortunately, because the Nazca lines are so worn away now, we can't tell exactly how they were made. But we do know that they were created by removing the reddish-brown pebbles that cover the desert floor and arranging them into different patterns and pictures. This would have taken a lot of work and a lot of time. It's also strange that the Nazca people would have chosen to make most of the figures and lines so incredibly hard to see. If they were meant to be viewed from the sky, why not make them bigger? For a long time, researchers couldn't come up with a good reason. However, in 2014, a scientist put forward a very interesting theory. Using mathematical formulas, he found that if you add up the number of straight lines and curves in each figure, you get a number that corresponds to a specific constellation. For example, if you add up the lines in the monkey geoglyph, you arrive at 26. When you look up to the constellation that has 26 stars, you will find it is the Southern Cross. If you do the same with the spider, you end up with 21, which is the number of stars in Orion. Researchers believe that each geoglyph is linked to the celestial sphere, and that the Nazca people would have looked up to the sky to see if their art was pleasing to the gods. If the constellations matched the figures, then all was well. But if they didn't match, then something had to be done to fix the error. This would explain why the Nazca people went to so much trouble to hide the figures from the ground. If they were intended to be seen from the sky, then it would have been obvious to the Inca and other ground dwellers what they were. It would also explain why the Nazca people stopped making the figures around 1500 years ago. Around this time, the tropical and precession cycles changed, meaning that the constellations began shifting in the sky. By the time the Inca arrived in the 15th century, the precession of the equinoxes had shifted so much that none of the geoglyphs matched their corresponding constellations anymore. This is where the aliens come in. One of the strangest aspects of the Nazca lines is that there are hundreds of miles of straight lines that point directly to certain stars and constellations. How could the people of Nazca have created such accurate lines without any technology like the telescope? Some of the lines are so perfectly straight that they can be used as highways for modern-day motorists driving across the desert. They're also extremely durable, having survived thousands of years of wind and rain erosion. Considering these factors, it seems unlikely that the Inca were solely responsible for making them. In fact, most scientists agree that the Nazca lines were likely made by a culture known as the Nazca, who lived in the region around 800 AD. They were a peaceful tribe of farmers and fishermen who seem to have appeared out of nowhere, but there is very little evidence of their existence. All we have are a few clay pots, some textiles, a couple of stone statues, and a whole lot of geoglyphs. There isn't even much evidence of a settlement or a city. Archaeologists have found a couple of settlements nearby, but it's unclear whether the Nazca people actually lived there. In fact, we don't know much about their lifestyle at all. We don't know where their villages were, how big their population was, or even what religion they followed. All we know is that they were remarkably talented artists and that they had a fascination with the stars. It seems likely that the Nazca lines were created as part of a religious ceremony. After all, they're located in a rather desolate part of the desert, and there doesn't seem to be much practical use for them. It's not clear exactly how they were used in the ceremony or what they were supposed to represent. But researchers think that the Nazca people gathered together in the desert and made offerings to their gods. Then they would have stood around in circles while chanting and praying until their gods let them know they were pleased. If this is true, then it makes sense that the Nazca people would have wanted their figures to line up with certain stars and constellations. It would have been a way of gauging their gods' approval. One of the biggest mysteries surrounding the Nazca lines is how the people of Nazca managed to create such huge markings on the ground without any machinery or advanced tools. To make matters worse, nobody has ever found any garbage or discarded tools in the area, leading some to speculate that the Nazca people may have had access to technology far more advanced than our own. Take a look at this Nazca line, for instance. It's 11 miles long and perfectly straight. How could the Nazca people have possibly created something like this without the help of advanced equipment? Or take a look at the Nazca hummingbird. Its wings alone span 110 feet. How could so many people coordinate their efforts to make such a precise and detailed piece of artwork? We may never know exactly how the Nazca people created the Nazca lines. Perhaps they had some sort of advanced technology that allowed them to make the figures without much effort. Or maybe they had a massive workforce that helped them complete the projects. Whatever the case may be, the Nazca lines remain one of the most mysterious archaeological sites on the planet. Thanks for watching. Which do you think made the Nazca lines, the Inca or the Nazca people? Let me know in the comments below. See you next time. Bye. It's so wild. It makes your jaw drop just thinking about it. Human beings have been around for 300,000 years. We all know this. But until about 10,000 years ago, we were hunter-gatherers. We didn't settle down in one place. We traveled from place to place following our food sources. And that was our life. No houses, no farms, no roads, no technology, no nothing. Just following herds of animals and gathering fruit and nuts and seeds and living off the land. And after 300,000 years of doing that exact same thing, suddenly, about 10,000 years ago, we invented farming. We settled down, we started building villages, towns, cities. And then came the Bronze Age, and then the Iron Age, and then came empires, and then came the Middle Ages, and then the Renaissance, and then came space travel. And here we are today because of all those things that happened, all those inventions and innovations that changed our lives forever. But there is something even more mysterious than that because it seems like the story of mankind might start much earlier than we think. Because in 1963, German archaeologist Klaus Schmidt uncovered the ruins of a massive city in southeastern Turkey near the Syrian border. This site was called Göbekli Tepe, meaning Hill of the Potters in English, and Klaus immediately knew he had stumbled upon something special. The site contained circular-shaped pillars, some standing over 18 feet tall with strange markings on them that resembled animals. Other parts of the settlement showed evidence of fires, suggesting that people once gathered here in large numbers. There were also primitive stone tools found throughout the site, and to make matters even stranger, Klaus dated this site to be about 12,000 years old. Now, this would completely change everything if true, because at the time, archaeologists believed that civilization began around 6,000 years ago with the invention of agriculture. So this site pushed back the birth of civilization by 6,000 years. Now, this is an incredible discovery, but many archaeologists dismissed his findings, claiming that the site was too old to be man-made. They said that humans weren't advanced enough to build such a structure 12,000 years ago, and they also couldn't believe that humans would have lived in such a harsh environment. Göbekli Tepe is located in a dry and hot valley surrounded by arid hills. It was hard for them to imagine humans living there, and so many scientists simply dismissed his findings. But Klaus continued to excavate the site, and his discoveries only became more astonishing as time went on. Throughout the years, he uncovered more pillars with strange carvings on them. He found what appeared to be a ritual center with dozens of T-shaped pillars arranged in a circle. Some pillars had 2 heads, while others had wings or strange geometric patterns. Many of the pillars also had holes drilled into them, which may have been used to hold up a roof or a canopy of some sort. These findings suggested that Göbekli Tepe was not just a hunting lodge, but rather a ceremonial center where people gathered to perform rituals and possibly to live. And as time went on, Klaus made a shocking discovery. In the middle of the excavation site, he found a massive T-shaped pillar that weighed over 20 tons. He named this pillar the bull's head, because it resembled the head of a bull, but it was much larger than any bull's head he had ever seen before. It was a humanoid creature with horns and ears that looked very similar to the head of a bison. The bull head was surrounded by other pillars with similar carvings of bulls, gazelles, and other unidentified animals. It almost looked like a zoo. What makes this even more astonishing is that these animals don't live in the area today. To find the closest living relatives of these animals, you would have to travel thousands of miles to the mountains of northern Iran. This suggests that people traveled from all over the region to this one spot. But why? Why would they come here from so far away? What was so important about this place? And why did they carve these strange creatures on the pillars? What did these creatures look like? Are they real or mythical? And who built this place and when? Because civilization wasn't supposed to exist 12,000 years ago. How could anyone live in such a dry and desolate place? And how could they have built such a massive city without the use of advanced technology? We still don't have all the answers to these questions. But recent discoveries have shed new light on the mystery of Göbekli. A few years ago, researchers discovered animal bones from creatures that don't live in the area today, such as wild cattle, deer, and foxes. This suggests that the people who lived here kept domesticated animals and grew crops. So, it wasn't just a hunting lodge like everyone thought, it was an actual settlement. And the discovery of animal bones also suggests that the people who lived here had a diet very similar to ours today, complete with meat, vegetables, and fruits. And it's not just the animal bones that have helped us understand the people who lived here better. Researchers have also uncovered pottery, stone tools, and other artifacts that suggest that the people who lived here were skilled craftsmen and had a complex society. For example, the team discovered a bowl with a strange pattern on it that resembles a type of fabric known as twill. Twill is a type of woven fabric that is made by interlacing the warp and weft threads at an angle. This type of fabric is incredibly durable and has a distinctive diagonal pattern. And the fact that someone was able to create this pattern on a bowl suggests that they had a sophisticated understanding of mathematics and geometry. The team also discovered several fragments of pottery that had been decorated with geometric patterns, spirals, and other motifs. The pottery also had a distinctive style that was unlike anything seen before in the region. This suggests that the people who lived here had a unique and sophisticated culture. But perhaps the most shocking discovery came when researchers uncovered a human skull that was buried beneath the floor of one of the buildings. The skull was strangely shaped and didn't resemble any human skull ever found in the region. It had a low, sloping forehead and a receding chin. And it also had a strange hole in the back of the skull. This hole suggests that the person was trepanned, meaning that part of their skull was removed. Trepanation is a surgical procedure in which a hole is drilled into the skull. and it's been practiced throughout history for various medical and ritualistic purposes. But what's truly remarkable is that this is the oldest known example of trepanation ever discovered. It pushes back the practice by thousands of years. This suggests that the people who lived here were highly skilled surgeons who performed complex operations on a regular basis. But the question remains, why would they need to perform such surgeries? Were they treating injuries or illnesses, or were they performing the surgeries for religious reasons? Unfortunately, we don't have the answer to that question yet. But one thing is for sure, the discovery of the trepanned skull suggests that the people who lived here were highly advanced for their time. They were skilled surgeons who understood the human body and the human mind in ways that we can only dream of today. So it seems like Göbekli Tepe was a much more complex and sophisticated site than we ever imagined. It was not just a hunting lodge or ceremonial center. It was a real city with a population of thousands of people who lived here full-time. These people were farmers who raised domesticated animals, ate meat and vegetables, and had a complex society with its own culture and traditions. They were also skilled engineers and architects who were able to construct massive buildings out of huge stones. And they were also skilled surgeons who performed complex operations on a regular basis. But there's still so much we don't know about this place. Who were the people who lived here? Where did they go when they left? And what happened to the city? Was it destroyed by a natural disaster or by war? And why did they stop building cities after a while? And why did they start living in small, nomadic tribes again? All of these questions remain unanswered, and it's likely that we'll never have all the answers. But one thing is for sure, Göbekli Tepe is one of the most amazing archaeological sites ever discovered. It's a place where we can learn about the origins of human civilization and the mysteries of our past. And it's a place that will continue to amaze and inspire us for generations to come. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe for more content. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Mexico is home to some of the most ancient ruins in all of the Americas, and amongst these ruins are some gigantic stone heads known as the Olmec colossal heads. These colossal heads are full of mystery and intrigue. They seem to have been crafted with incredible skill and precision. But the true mastermind behind their creation still remains unknown. As more and more archaeologists descend upon the sites where these heads were found, researchers are beginning to uncover new details about them. What secrets do these statues hold? Were they used to honor gods? Or could they have been used to represent beings that aren't even from this world? Number 6. Discovery and History. The first of the colossal heads was discovered in 1898 by a man named Hualfango. He stumbled upon it while exploring the banks of the Coatzacoalcos River in the Mexican state of Veracruz. The head he found was made out of colossal proportions, measuring over 5 feet tall and weighing several tons. At first, nobody really paid much attention to the discovery. There were so many artifacts being unearthed in Mexico at the time that this one wasn't considered particularly special. However, soon after, more heads would be discovered, and we would learn that this was just the tip of the iceberg. In total, there are 18 colossal heads spread out across the ancient sites of Tres Zapotes, La Venta, and El Manial. Most of these heads appear to be intentionally buried. In fact, one of the heads was found underneath another, suggesting that they may have been part of some kind of burial ground. Each of the heads seems to have been carved from different blocks of basalt. This is strange because basalt is a type of rock that's very difficult to carve. The Olmec people didn't have any metal tools, so carving these heads must have been extremely difficult. Despite this, every single one of the 18 heads has an astonishing level of detail. Researchers have noticed that each one of the faces appears to be unique, with each person having different facial features. Number 5. Who were the Olmec? As far as we can tell, the Olmec civilization formed sometime around the year 1200 BC. This would make them the oldest major civilization in Mesoamerica, coming almost 400 years before the Mayan civilization even began. Unfortunately, almost everything about the Olmec is shrouded in mystery. This is because they left behind very little in the way of written records. Archaeologists have been unable to decipher anything resembling a writing system from the Olmec. Because of this, we don't know much about their society, culture, religion, or even how they formed as a civilization. Despite this, we do know a few things about the Olmec. For starters, they likely had a complex social hierarchy, much like other civilizations of the time. Evidence suggests that they had kings or rulers who held absolute power over their subjects. In addition, the Olmec kept domesticated animals, including dogs, turkeys, and even crocodiles. They also excelled at creating art. Much of their artwork depicts fantastic creatures with animalistic features. One of the most recognizable motifs in Olmec art is the X motif. This shows two jaguars or two eagles flanking a central figure. The central figure is usually depicted wearing a crown, suggesting that it could have been a ruler. Number 4. The true purpose of the colossal heads. One of the biggest mysteries surrounding the colossal heads is what purpose they served. They were clearly meant to honor someone important, but who exactly that is still remains unknown. Some researchers believe that they were used to depict Olmec rulers. If this is true, it would explain why some of the heads appear to be wearing crowns. But if they were intended to honor rulers, why bury them underground? Typically, when great rulers die, they are entombed with great ceremony. Sometimes they are placed in giant pyramids so that future generations will know of their greatness. Other times, they are laid to rest in great tombs filled with treasure. This doesn't seem to have been the case with the Olmec rulers, whoever they may have been. Another theory is that the heads depicted gods. This is based on the assumption that the Olmec had a religion similar to that of the Mayans. Both cultures revered many gods, including gods of rain, fertility, war, and the underworld. It's possible that the Olmec created these massive heads as a way to honor their gods. But again, why would they bury the statues of their gods? Statues of gods were often placed in temples or on top of pyramids. They were meant to be seen by everyone, and were usually placed in locations of power. There's yet another possibility. The colossal heads may have been used to depict both gods and rulers. The Olmec culture was highly stratified with a small ruling class at the top and commoners at the bottom. It's entirely possible that the ruling class claimed to be descendants of gods. If this is true, then the heads could have been used to honor both gods and human rulers. This would explain why they were buried. It was common practice for rulers to be buried with their treasure and belongings. Perhaps the Olmec believed that their gods deserved the same respect. Number 3. Were the colossal heads used to honor extraterrestrial beings? Some researchers have taken the idea even further and suggested that the colossal heads weren't used to honor gods at all. Instead, they may have been used to represent extraterrestrials. This theory is based on the belief that the Olmec were the first advanced civilization in the Americas and that they had contact with extraterrestrials. Proponents of this theory point to the fact that the Olmec had no connection with other civilizations in the region. We know that the Maya and the Aztec civilizations interacted with each other frequently. The Olmec, however, were isolated from other cultures, and yet they created some of the most impressive works of art in ancient history. How did they do it? Some researchers claim that the Olmec received help from extraterrestrials. The idea that the Olmec had contact with extraterrestrials is controversial to say the least. There's very little evidence to support it, and most mainstream archaeologists reject it outright. However, there are a few intriguing details that seem to lend credence to the theory. First off, the Olmec were clearly very advanced for their time. They created some of the most impressive works of art in ancient history, and they lived in a region that was largely untouched by other civilizations. It's possible that they were visited by extraterrestrials who brought them advanced technology and taught them how to create their impressive works of art. Another interesting detail is the fact that the Olmec kept domesticated crocodiles. Crocodiles are dangerous animals, and it would have been very difficult to tame them. Yet somehow the Olmec managed to do it. This lends credence to the idea that they had access to advanced technology or perhaps even magic. Number 2. More recent discoveries. In recent years, archaeologists have made some exciting discoveries about the colossal heads. One of the most interesting findings is that the heads appear to have been created using a lost wax method. This is a complicated process that involves creating a mold of the subject, filling the mold with molten metal, and then casting the metal into the desired shape. This method is typically used for creating jewelry and other small items, but it's never before been seen on such a large scale. It's possible that the Olmec learned the technique from extraterrestrials, but unfortunately we don't have any way of knowing for sure. Another interesting discovery is that the heads appear to have been carved using a type of grid system. This involved placing a grid over the face of the subject and then using that grid to carve out the features. This allowed the Olmec to create incredibly detailed and accurate representations of their subjects. It's possible that the Olmec developed this technique on their own, but it's also possible that they learned it from extraterrestrials. Number 1. The riddle remains unsolved. In the end, we may never know for sure what the Olmec colossal heads were used for. They are full of mystery and intrigue, and they continue to baffle researchers to this day. It's possible that they were used to honor gods, rulers, or even extraterrestrials. Maybe they were meant to represent something else entirely. Whatever the case may be, one thing is for sure: the Olmec were a highly advanced civilization, and they left behind a legacy that continues to amaze us today. Thanks for watching. What do you think the Olmec colossal heads were used for? Let me know in the comments below. And while you're at it, be sure to hit that subscribe button. I've got lots more videos coming your way. Hey, what's this guy doing? He looks like he's holding a spoon. Is that a spoon in his hand? Does he live underwater? What's going on here? This is an image captured by a tourist visiting the Yonaguni Monument, a strange site off the coast of Japan that has been the subject of much debate and mystery. It's a place so strange it defies explanation. But how strange is it? And could it be the greatest discovery of all time? Or is there a perfectly logical explanation for what we see here? So let's take a look at the Yonaguni Monument. The Yonaguni Monument is a rock formation which appears to be a large staircase leading down into the ocean. It's located near the small Japanese island of Yonaguni-jima, which itself is part of the Okinawa Prefecture. The rock formation was first discovered in 1938, but it wasn't explored until 2002, when a group of divers ventured to the site. Since then, scuba diving companies have sprung up around the nearby islands, offering tourists the chance to view the site for themselves. Some people claim that they've seen strange hieroglyphics carved on some of the rocks, but others say these are just tricks of the light. It certainly seems odd, though, doesn't it? How could something so large and elaborate exist beneath the ocean and yet remain a secret for so long? The first thing you might be wondering is how deep it is. Well, the answer depends on who you speak to. While the staircase appears to drop away into the murky depths, that isn't actually the case. According to official sources, the Yonaguni Monument is only 6 meters deep at its deepest point. However, some divers insist that it goes much further. Either way, though, it's not exactly the Bermuda Triangle, so most people should be able to visit without too much danger. It's important to remember that this is still a rock formation, however man-made it may appear. So if you swim too close, you could easily injure yourself. It's also worth noting that the water can become very murky with almost zero visibility. This makes navigation tricky and means that it's not always possible to see the monument clearly. There's no doubt that this is an unusual place, but is it really the work of ancient builders who lived thousands of years ago? After all, there is no record of any major cities existing on this island, let alone evidence of them having a navy that could build warships capable of taking them across the ocean. For this reason, many archaeologists are skeptical of claims that the Yonaguni Monument is anything other than a natural formation. Some believe that it was formed by a series of underwater landslides, while others think it could be the remnants of a coastal shelf that collapsed after sea levels rose. There is even a theory that it's the result of human activity from as recent as World War II, when American forces bombarded the area with explosives. Some believe that it's the result of natural erosion over hundreds of thousands of years. Others believe that it was once part of a larger landmass that sank beneath the waves long ago. We just don't know. However, there are also those who believe that the Yonaguni Monument could be the lost city of Atlantis. Proponents of this theory point to Plato's description of Atlantis as a place of wisdom and knowledge, saying that it makes sense for such a place to be hidden beneath the ocean where it can't be disturbed. Of course, there is no evidence that Atlantis ever existed, let alone that it was located in the waters off the coast of Japan. But this hasn't stopped some people from trying to link the two together. So, what do we really know about the Yonaguni Monument? Well, despite all the theories and speculation, the truth is that we don't know for sure how it got there. It could be a completely natural formation, or it could be the work of ancient builders. Perhaps the most intriguing aspect of the Yonaguni Monument is that it appears to be a staircase leading down into the ocean. This is strange because stairs are typically used to access places that are higher up, not lower down. There is no structure above the waterline and no sign of any buildings or other human-made objects. It's as if someone or something had built a staircase leading down into the sea and then abandoned it before finishing the job. Another strange feature of the Yonaguni Monument is that it appears to have been deliberately carved or shaped. Many people who have visited the site report seeing strange hieroglyphics and other markings on the rocks, although these are often difficult to make out and their significance is unknown. Some of the shapes resemble faces or human figures, while others look like animals or mythical creatures. Could these really be ancient carvings, or could they be nothing more than tricks of the light? One of the biggest challenges in trying to solve the mystery of the Yonaguni Monument is that it's located deep beneath the ocean. This makes it difficult to study and explore, and it's also made it hard to date the site accurately. Many attempts have been made to date the Yonaguni Monument, but the results are often contradictory and inconclusive. Some reports say that the monument dates back thousands of years, while others say it's much more recent. Without hard evidence, it's impossible to know for sure. What's interesting is that the Japanese government doesn't even acknowledge the Yonaguni Monument's existence. In fact, if you try to search for it on official maps or ask locals about it, they'll probably look at you as if you're crazy. This has led some people to believe that the government is trying to cover up the site's existence, perhaps because it would cause too much of an uproar if people knew about it. But why would they do this? Are they embarrassed about the site? Do they fear that it could cause economic disruption if word got out? It's hard to say. Another strange aspect of the Yonaguni Monument is that it appears to be well preserved. Despite being submerged in seawater for centuries or possibly millennia, the monument is still standing strong. This is strange because most wooden structures break down much more quickly when submerged. One possible explanation is that the monument isn't actually made of wood, but rather stone or concrete. But again, we don't know for sure. The Yonaguni Monument really is a strange and mysterious place. While there is no definitive evidence of its origins, the most likely explanation is that it's simply a natural rock formation. If that's true, then there's no need for us to worry about preserving it. Let nature take its course and let the monument continue to erode naturally. However, if it turns out that the monument is actually a man-made structure, then we need to take steps to protect it. It would be a terrible shame to lose such an important part of our cultural heritage. But one thing is for sure, the Yonaguni Monument is a place unlike any other. Whether it's a natural formation or the work of ancient builders, it's a reminder of the many mysteries that still exist in our world. In the end, what do you think? Is the Yonaguni Monument a natural formation or the work of ancient builders? Could it be something else entirely? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And while you're down there, be sure to hit that subscribe button. That's because I make new videos every week about the weirdest archaeological finds from around the world. So if you love this sort of content, be sure to stay tuned for more updates. Thanks for watching. See you next time. In Egypt, at the edge of the Sahara Desert, stand 3 ancient pyramids. They are over 4,000 years old, yet they appear impossibly straight and true. Built with an astounding level of precision, they have stood the test of time, remaining remarkably intact after all these years. But there's more to these pyramids than meets the eye, for they are aligned almost perfectly with the stars in the sky, forming an invisible path that leads directly to the center of our galaxy. What is this secret purpose behind their construction? And what message are they trying to tell us about the nature of reality itself? Welcome back, everyone. Here today, we are going to travel back in time to ancient Egypt. We will explore one of the most enduring mysteries of the ancient world, the Great Pyramids of Giza, and their mysterious alignment with the stars. The ancient Egyptians were a highly advanced civilization. They developed many innovations that are still used today, such as paper, the plow, and even toothpaste. They also built some of the most impressive structures in history, such as the Sphinx and the Great Pyramids of Giza. But how did they manage to build these structures so precisely? And what was their purpose? One theory is that they were aligned with the stars in the sky. This may seem like a far-fetched idea, but there is evidence to support it. According to some researchers, the 3 pyramids were built to align with the 3 stars in Orion's belt. This would have been a great accomplishment for the Egyptians since Orion's belt is almost perfectly aligned with the Earth's equator. This means that the Egyptians would have had to make incredibly accurate measurements of the Earth's circumference in order to align the pyramids correctly. Another theory is that the pyramids were aligned with the North Star, also known as Polaris. This star is located at the center of the Big Dipper constellation, and it is almost perfectly aligned with the Earth's North Pole. This would have been much easier for the Egyptians to do since they would not have to measure the Earth as circumference. However, Polaris was not always located at the North Pole. In fact, it will be shifted from its current position in about 13,000 years. This means that the Egyptians must have built the pyramids at a time when Polaris was aligned with the North Pole. So, how did the Egyptians know where to build the pyramids? One possibility is that they had access to advanced technology that we are not aware of. This could explain how they were able to align the pyramids so precisely. However, there is no evidence of advanced technology in ancient Egypt, so this theory remains controversial. Another possibility is that the Egyptians received help from extraterrestrials who possessed the necessary knowledge and technology. This idea is also controversial, but it has been popularized by some fringe theorists who believe that ancient astronauts visited Earth and interacted with humans. There is no concrete evidence to support this claim, but it remains a popular topic in conspiracy circles. Finally, it is possible that the alignment was purely coincidental. After all, the Egyptians built many structures, and it is likely that some of them would align with the stars by pure chance. However, the precision of the alignment makes this seem unlikely. It is also worth noting that the Egyptians were very interested in astronomy, and they kept detailed records of the stars in the sky. So it is possible that they intentionally aligned the pyramids with the stars. But why would they do this? One theory is that the pyramids were built as tombs for the pharaohs. If this is true, then the alignment with the stars may have been a way to honor the pharaohs and ensure their safe passage to the afterlife. According to Egyptian mythology, the pharaohs were considered gods on earth, and they were believed to be able to travel to the stars after they died. By aligning the pyramids with the stars, the Egyptians may have been creating a pathway to the afterlife for their beloved pharaohs. Another theory is that the pyramids were built as a way to control the weather. The Egyptians were known to be skilled engineers and scientists, and they had a deep understanding of the natural world. They kept detailed records of the floods of the Nile River, and they used this knowledge to develop a sophisticated irrigation system. Some researchers believe that the Egyptians also studied the patterns of the stars in the sky, and they used this knowledge to predict the weather. If this is true, then the alignment of the pyramids with the stars may have been part of a larger system to control the weather. Of course, there is no scientific evidence to support this claim, but it is an interesting theory nonetheless. Finally, it is possible that the alignment was purely symbolic and had no practical purpose. The Egyptians were a highly religious people, and they believed that the pharaohs were divine. It is possible that the alignment of the pyramids with the stars was simply a way to pay homage to the gods and show their power. After all, the pyramids were built during a time when human beings were just beginning to understand the universe around them. It is likely that the Egyptians saw the stars in the sky as a sign of divine guidance. They may have believed that the stars were the homes of the gods and that the pyramids should be aligned with them as a way to show respect. But what is the truth? Unfortunately, we may never know for sure. The pyramids of Giza are shrouded in mystery, and there is no definitive answer as to why they were aligned with the stars. However, the theories provide an interesting look into the minds of the ancient Egyptians and their beliefs about the world around them. What do you think? Were the pyramids of Giza truly built by men, or were they guided by something greater? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe for more videos like it. Thanks for watching. Until next time. Now, let's move on to our next video. The Great Pyramids of Giza have captivated the human imagination for centuries. These ancient structures are not only a testament to the engineering prowess of the ancient Egyptians, but also a source of endless fascination and speculation. In recent years, researchers have uncovered new evidence that suggests that the pyramids may have been built with incredible precision and that they were aligned with the stars in the night sky. One of the most intriguing aspects of the pyramids is their alignment with the cardinal directions. Each of the four sides of the Great Pyramid of Giza is aligned with one of the 4 points of the compass, north, south, east, and west, with an accuracy of up to 99.99%. This level of precision is truly remarkable when one considers the tools and technology available to the ancient Egyptians. How they managed to achieve such accuracy remains a mystery. Another fascinating aspect of the pyramids is their alignment with certain stars in the sky. Some researchers have suggested that the 3 pyramids at Giza were aligned with the 3 stars in Orion's belt, which forms an asterism known as the Belt of Orion. This alignment is thought to have been intentional and may have had some religious or astronomical significance to the ancient Egyptians. However, other researchers have disputed this claim, arguing that the alignment is purely coincidental. Some researchers have also suggested that the pyramids were aligned with the center of the galaxy, which lies in the direction of the modern-day constellation of Sagittarius. This alignment is thought to have been known to the Egyptians, because they kept careful records of the movement of the stars in the sky. If this is true, then it is possible that the pyramids were built as a way to honor the gods and goddesses of the Egyptians. Sky, such as Ra, the sun god, and Osiris, the god of the underworld. However, not all researchers agree with this interpretation. Some have argued that the alignment with the stars is purely coincidental, and that there is no evidence to support the claim that the ancient Egyptians believed that the stars were the homes of the gods. Despite the controversy, the alignment of the pyramids with the stars in the sky remains an intriguing mystery. It is possible that the ancient Egyptians had a deeper understanding of the universe than we give them credit for, and that they used this knowledge to build the pyramids as a way to honor their gods and goddesses. Unfortunately, we may never know for sure. The true meaning behind the alignment of the pyramids with the stars will likely remain a secret lost to the sands of time. So, what do you think? Do you believe that the pyramids of Giza were aligned with the stars in the sky? Why or why not? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe for more videos like it. Thanks for watching. Until next time. As we continue to explore the mysteries of the ancient world, we must keep an open mind and be willing to challenge our assumptions about what is possible. Who knows what other secrets the pyramids of Giza are hiding? And, on that note, we end our journey through the mysteries of the pyramids of Giza. Thank you for joining me on this adventure through time. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel to join our community of curious minds. And if you have any thoughts, theories, or ideas you'd like to share, please leave them in the comments below. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep discovering. The ancient world may hold the answers we seek, and who knows, maybe you'll be the one to find them.